What's up, guys? Hope everyone has been enjoying the Battlefront 2 resurgence. I've been playing a lot of it and having a total blast. Today, however, I wanted to quickly cover Battlefront 3, and more specifically, my thoughts on the whole Battlefront 3 movement and what I think will happen out of this. First of all, let me just start by saying how incredible it is that we have so many people coming back to Battlefront 2, and a bunch of the new players as well. That's so awesome to see and really does bring in some light to the idea of more. As someone who literally has 2,000 hours logged into Battlefront 2, I cannot tell you how much I have thought of the possibility of a Battlefront 3 over the years. But as time went on and hope seemed lost, I've always been real skeptical of Battlefront 3 ever coming to be. Not that I don't want it to, of course I do, but there's just so many moving parts in all of this. I guess I'll just rip the band-aid off. I don't foresee a Battlefront 3 anytime soon. Now I will admit, I was going to make this video before the big resurgence day this past weekend, and I'm glad I waited until after to see just how big this hype really is. Battlefront content creators across the world are talking about this, pretty much most gamers. Hell, even Star Wars actors and ex-Battlefront developers are talking about this. If this movement really is that big, there's no way EA and DICE haven't at least talked about it by now. But like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. I'm sure they are well aware as to how well a Battlefront 3 would sell. And I'm sure we're all well past the commercial license cost bullshit that they use to not make the game in the first place. It's Star Wars. It pays for itself. The real reason, for me at least, and why I was initially worried about the resurgence to begin with both Battlefront releases, I feel like DICE has fallen short of player expectations. And with Battlefront being as popular as it is right now, expectation is through the roof. The biggest hurdle DICE and EA have to overcome is nailing the game at launch and having a smooth live service model. Content-wise, a hypothetical Battlefront 3 needs to at the very least match the same amount of content that Battlefront 2 had in the end. Ideally more, so it doesn't feel like we're just buying an investment. But I don't know about you guys, I personally don't want to talk about a Battlefront 4 or 5 or whatever if a Battlefront 3 ever comes out. I want Battlefront 3 to be the game to stay. And in order to do that, you need to have a good launch, and you need to come up with a monetization system that won't piss off the fans. In either case, you really don't want to piss off the fans, because then you'll never recover and you'll just be making another Battlefront 2. So I mainly want to talk about what I think is the tricky part. Let's just assume that the hypothetical Battlefront 3 comes out and has a smooth launch. The tricky part is coming up with a way to monetize the game so that it won't kill your player base and is good enough to justify the live service model. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, don't do a season pass. I've seen a lot of people look back at the DLCs for 2015 and think that they were the best parts of that game, and don't get me wrong, there were some pretty awesome maps. But the model itself I always thought was very flawed, especially when the game was active. The problem was that the DLC split up the player base literally. The content itself was fine, although pretty underwhelming for certain DLCs, but I think the idea for a season pass is outdated, especially in multiplayer games. It's better to think long term. So season pass is out, and we all know EA wouldn't dare try loot boxes again, so what else is there? Here's my pitch for Battlefront 3. As much as I hate to say it, I think battle passes are the way to go, but hear me out on this. I'm mainly going to talk about heroes because they're a good example, but I think every unit in the game should have their own individual battle pass. Now, I think since you'd be buying the game at full retail price, all of the launch content heroes and units should have their battle passes already unlocked for free. It's the post-launch heroes that should have battle passes behind a paywall. Now, here's how they should work, and bear with me for a second. I'm going to use Luke Skywalker as an example. Arguably, Luke's most iconic look is his Jedi look from Return of the Jedi. So I think to be immersed with the game, Luke's default appearance should be Farm Boy from A New Hope. The more you level up with Luke, the more you progress with the character like you did in the films. So next would be Pilot, then Yavin Ceremony, then Hoth, then Dagobah, then Bespin, then Jedi. And maybe the sequels too if you really wanted to. And just think of that, but with all the other heroes. I think that this is a system that Star Wars fans would be intrigued with. I think if you stick with that model, do updates regularly, then Battlefront 3 will be here to stay. And that's the most important thing that I think the game needs that no one's really talking about. I think a lot of people kind of feel like we got spoiled with Battlefront 2. I mean, we had so many free updates for so long. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it was all great stuff. It was great getting updates for free, all the skins and cosmetics we can earn in-game. And that's so awesome, but that just kills your business model moving forward. And, you know, I think we kind of need to face reality. This is a tough question that Star Wars fans need to ask themselves. But I think it's better to think in the long run. No one wants to pay for anything more than they necessarily have to. But I would rather Battlefront be a Star Wars game that's going to stick around a while. I don't want this to just be a one and done and then let's move on to the next one. I don't think item shops are also the best answer either. I think you're kind of going a little bit too far in the system. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, you know. Honestly, all in all, I think we all just want a Battlefront 3. But I think the best way to go, and I know a lot of people probably disagree, but I do think Battle Passes, it is the safe route. You know you're not going to piss people off as long as you don't tie progression to a Battle Pass. We're just talking cosmetics here. But I do hope we can get a Battlefront 3. I think as long as we keep up the momentum, EA can't ignore it forever. It's the Star Wars game we all want and all deserve. So right now, all we can do is keep our voices heard. And I'll be doing my part, and I'm sure you all will too. But that's all I have for right now. Thank you guys for watching this. Like I said, I'm going to be getting back to regular uploads soon. I just kind of want to throw my 2 cents in on what I think of Battlefront 3 and the whole Battlefront 2 movement. But, you know, as long as we keep it up, you know, I'm sure Battlefront 3 will be inevitable at some point. It just might take a while, you know, you just kind of got to wait. But we've waited this long. I think we could wait a little longer too. All for the glory of Battlefront 3. Let's hear it. All right, guys. I'll catch you all later. Bye.